All right, everyone. So here's the deal. You're trying to draw a grid process. The goal behind a grid process is that you're working with squares. Secondly, besides working with squares, what you want to do is the whole point behind drawing with squares is that you want to simplify the process. You're not trying to draw a human. You're not trying to draw a chimpanzee. You're not trying to draw a polar pop or whatever it is from real life. Now you can actually grid and draw squares over the top and just draw shapes where they belong according to space, related to space. Like right now I have this much space from the edge of the screen to my head. What does that look like on a piece of paper? That's what it helps you identify. So if you think it's just about drawing squares and then ignoring them, then you're wasting your time. All right. So here are the 3 basic steps I have for you. First things first, flip the paper upside down. That way you don't think about what it is you're drawing. You just focus on relation of space to that square and the lines and the objects that you draw in it. Secondly, you want to divide a space. So if you have a square, you want to divide a space. So if you have a square, what you want to do is draw some guiding marks. What you're doing is dividing this space in half from here to there. Where's the middle mark? Pretend it's food, licorice, hot dog. And if you had to split between you and a friend, you don't want the smaller piece, neither does your friend. So you want to split it right in the middle. That's what you're going to do. You're going to divide each space in half like this, and that. And I like to try to find the middle point. So something like this, okay? The other option is if that's too hard, if you can't figure out what it is you're drawing when you do that, you are going to divide that into 4 equal squares, okay? That's going to break down the information you have to draw into 4 smaller drawings, and it's going to be a lot easier. Trust me. All right. I hope that helps. I messed up. All right, so here we have it. We have these 4 squares. I'm going to be drawing this D3. I've already broken it down into 4 squares, but what I'm going to do is, because there's so much information in this nostril space, I'm going to divide this into 4 equal parts, like that and like that. All right. Over here, it's a little easier. I only have to draw from here to there because I noticed that above this line is where that part begins. Above this line is where this begins. You just have to know where everything is in relation to other things. And then from here, I'm going to go like that. And then over here, I'm going to draw in this little V shape over on this side. It's going to extend out to right around here. Find the middle. I told you that's one of your methods, is finding the middle. It looks like this thing barely touches that point. So at this point now, instead of worrying about it being a monkey, or I'm sorry, a chimp, what you want to do is try to find where these shapes belong. I'm picking one of the tougher ones so you can see how this works. They're not all this challenging. If you've never done this grid process, do not begin here. Begin with the easiest stuff. So you want to begin with this square and that square and this square. All you have to do in this square is draw a triangle, this white triangle in the space. Forget that it belongs to a chimp. You just want to draw the white triangle. All right. So if you're worried about like drawing all of it and your brain's still thinking chimpanzee, another thing you can do is take sticky notes. Martinez has plenty of those for you to borrow. Our teacher, whoever it is, should too. If they don't, I'm sure the teacher next door does. What you can do is hide everything else so you see that there's less information to draw. And then. So this is showing you that it doesn't matter what size squares you draw, as long as they're squares, it's going to work out. So this I'm drawing here. This is the bottom left square. Now the bottom right square I've already drawn. There's this tiny little black mark on the bottom right square. And then the last little bit is drawing what's going on in here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and reuse this method because it works really well. I'm going to just break this in a square, And then what that tells me is that there's just this little white triangle right here that happens once I draw this shape. Funny little shape that goes like this to about the halfway mark. This bends this way, bends that way. Although you want to be pretty precise, as possible, there is a little give, meaning if it's not perfect, you can always perfect it later. You can always improve. So don't worry about perfection now. What you want to worry about is getting things pretty close. You're spending half an hour on one square. That's way too much time. Just move around, draw. You can align things later and edit them and fix them later. So there's this. I'm missing a couple more details over here. This crisscrosses over to this square. Look at that. Bleeds over to that square. This goes this way. This goes that way. And then like that, we got myself a chimpanzee snout. Whoa. That's right. Points to about the middle of that square. Look, middle. Maybe just a little bit more. Goes that way, this way, down, and over. All right, this method is going to teach you how to pay attention to a lot of details. Flip it over, and what you have here is a replica of this square, just in a lot smaller form. Okay. All right. Good luck and. All right, so I need you to keep following that process. Flip your paper upside down, mark your midpoints, and then just begin. Begin with the easiest squares first. Don't do the hard ones. Don't jump into the face of that chimpanzee or the crown or the ear. Don't do the hard stuff. Always start with the easiest squares possible. Just always marking your sides, always paying attention to spacing. Keep it upside down because you don't want to get distracted by what you think you know about the chimp. You just want to draw everything as it relates to space. So notice that curve, and I'm paying attention to it. It looks pretty good, so I'm going to keep going, marking where the crown begins. Don't be thinking crown, but be thinking line. Where is this line according to the square? And it's okay to mess up. It's okay to try things out. Look at me comparing that triangle to that triangle and that square. It looks good, so I'm going to keep going and just keep progressing. The reason why we do the easy stuff first is because it takes a minute to adapt and learn to draw larger or learn to draw smaller. It's a lot easier when it's the same size. So once you start blowing things up the way we are today, it becomes a lot more challenging. So get started. Start with the easy ones. Hop around. Try different ones. Don't get stuck on one. Just move around. Try other squares if one is too difficult. You'll see that the more you do it, the more you adapt, and the more you learn how to do this successfully. All right. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. You know how to get a hold of me.